Welcome to another episode of InRange. We are at the Independence Day Rifle Match 2018. America. Cowtown. This is a rifle-only match. It's a real tradition here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Been going on, I don't know how many years, but I can't remember a year that we didn't have an Independence Day Rifle Match.
Yeah.
We've run them at Ben Avery. They've been run here at this Cowtown facility. We ran them at the Two Gun Action Challenge match facility for a couple of years. It kind of moves around between different match directors, and it's kind of interesting because it's a rifle-only match, but because it goes to different directors and different ranges, you get a real different feel some years than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, except for the fact that you always feel hot. It is supposed to be 113 today?
that's the estimate.
15, 13, somewhere in there?
In a no-wind canyon environment. If you didn't watch last year, Ian and I did M1 Garand's for the entire event, and it was a really fun time.
Yeah, we had it all.
In fact, they added an M1 Garand division specifically for this match. I don't know how many people are here this year doing that.
I saw at least 3 or 4 people signed up for it.
Good, because that is America's real rifle. And when you think of an American rifle, what is it? It's the M1
Yeah.
Garand, right? But that said, we are not using anything American here whatsoever.
Nope, not this year.
You are.
I have my Spoor Brethren Arms G3 converted to a left-hand charging handle.
Yes.
And I have a Wolf copy of the Elcan Spectre. So
Yes.
it's a 1-power/4 power. So it's a prismatic thing. I can either have it set at 1, or I can throw the lever, change it to 4x. Nothing in between. It's not variable. It's either or. The advantage that this has over the actual Elcan is that all of the scope adjustments are done inside the scope, as opposed to having an adjustable base, which is kind of always a problem.
I always find adjustable base is weird. You know, my only experience with adjustable base optics has been, well, the ZF-41, all the German stuff. The ZF-41, some of the German sniper reproductions, the bases would adjust, not the scope. Oh my gosh, it is not a good idea. And it's interesting the Elcan does that.
Yeah, well, a lot of militaries decide that that's more durable. You know, the SUSAT did that. Actually, the Swedish Aimpoint CS did that
Oh, yeah.
relatively recently. The problem is, while they are more durable, they're also less precise and they have problems.
Fair enough. And so, of course, 308, yep, full power stuff. Now, you're in heavy, and technically you have a bipod, and you would be
Yes.
open, but you're doing something different.
Correct. If you are in heavy, you're allowed to have a bipod, but it has to always be on the rifle, or at least always be on the rifle at the start of the stage. So I will be starting with my magnetic bipod inserted, and if I don't want it on that stage, I will pull it off and throw it in the pocket.
So you're gaming it up a little bit. You know what's funny? We had less than optimal, not negative, but less than optimal results with that magnetic attached bipod.
Yes, I agree.
But we keep going back to it.
It's still handy.
There's still there's the convenience of it still makes up for the fact that it's not an optimal bipod.
Yeah. So I'll be curious to see how it performs here. I don't know what to expect from the stages, so I don't know how useful or not useful it will end up being.
Depends on how many places a bipod's actually going to have any use. So many matches now set up barricades in a way that the bipod almost becomes irrelevant, which I don't like because in real world conditions bipods matter, but it
Yeah.
matches so much they provide barricades that just nullify the need of a bipod.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going way off the reservation here, okay? This is this abortion atrocity gun. It is well, technically it is a Century Arms, what do they call them, the
VZ-2000.
2008 or whatever, but it's a VZ-58. Now, I have modified this quite a bit. It's got an FSC brake on it, which makes a big difference. I'm not a big brake guy, but the FSC is a nice balance between brake and flash hider. It's not this atrocious, deafening thing. Plus, with 7.62x39, you don't get the same amount of flash and bang you do from 5.56.
Yep.
So a brake on a 7.62x39 gun, I want to say it has some merit to it.
You don't just have that because it looks swanky and cool.
Well, yeah, it's got that cool core sampler thing. I just have the traditional furniture on here. I did have some fab furniture that at one point I put on there, but it had these little vent holes. And because this is a short stroke gas system, it was blowing carbon into my hands, and my hands were turning black. I didn't like it. So I kind of took it off and went back to the original VZ furniture. There might be better things there. I do have a replacement aperture sight on the back of this, which I'm not going to be using because I have optics.
Clearly love that so much you put on an optics mount that doesn't let you see it.
Completely destroying it. So what we got here is this is actually the ACOG/RMR stack that you will see in our IAR video. The M27 config is an ACOG plus RMR stack, and we did this for the IAR project. But I looked at it and I was like, huh, that's an interesting thing. And I've got this Picatinny rail adapter that I got from Zahal, which is a CZ, they do a lot of CZ distribution. I've also got a little gamer thing of a bolt release here, which is also from Zahal, so you can have a little faster reload, in theory. But I took the entire quick detach ACOG RMR stack and threw it on the VZ on a whim. And I went out and started shooting, and I'm like, this, as bad as this looks, this actually kind of works. At least it seems to.
My gut feeling is you're going to regret that.
I might.
But when we were out zeroing it a couple days ago, seems better than I expected.
I was making 300-yard hits without much effort with 7.62x39 Wolf.
Yeah.
And I went up to the RMR, which is a very tall offset. I was hitting with that, no problem, too.
I still think he's going to regret it.
It might be a dumpster fire today. We're going to find out. That's how you do this. You find out, you put it on the clock. The other thing I've got is a Fab Defense, folding stock. The original stock on there's really not bad, but what I needed this stock for was the riser of the cone,
Yeah,
so
no
that I could get to the ACOG. This riser here is just right to put my eye behind the ACOG. It is still too low to do anything but chin weld to get to the RMR.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is the same thing on the M27 IAR.
Yep.
You use that RMR, when you stack optics like this, it's chin weld. It is what it is. Nothing, oh, and a Fab Defense pistol grip, which is just more comfortable. Nothing else really modified beyond that. I think this is a French sling, I think. You would know. Is that Frenchy?
No.
What is it?
It's not French, but it's something like it.
Some
It
European...
might be a French subgun sling.
That's what I thought. I thought it was, this might
Not
be
a rifle, it might be a subgun.
Doesn't matter. What's good about it is it's got these spinny bits so that it can't get twisted around, and the weird places to mount the sling on a VZ is weird. So it seemed like it worked, and we might need a sling today, we might not.
It's unclear.
Don't know. One thing I can say is that if these optics completely go awry for me, they are quick detach. I can ditch those things. It's a LaRue mount, and I can get back to my tech, I think it's tech sight, I think they're called.
Tech sights.
Tech sight. But we're going to try and do optics today. I don't know what we're going to see. But hopefully you guys enjoy this kind of weird stuff on InRange, because where else do you see a VZ that looks like this in a match on the clock, and do we find out if this works the only way is on the clock? So, stay tuned. I think we got 5 stages today.
I believe so.
Stay tuned for 5 of these,
Let's dig into the first one.
and we'll see how bad our heat stroke gets through all 5.
Yeah, yes we will.
All right.
Start position. You will be down at the bottom. There is a cone. Your rifle will be loaded on safe. Shooter standing with your muzzle touching top of the cone. Note, in the spirit of this being a boat ride down Shit Creek, an RO, which will be myself, will make the boat prop experience wave motions while the shooter is engaging rifle targets 1 through 5 while you're up here. The RO has been special calibrated for this purpose. For your safety, please keep hands and feet fully inside the boat for the duration of the ride. Thank you, and enjoy your ride. At the start signal, engage rifle targets 1 through 5 with 1 hit from each from the cone. There are 5 black targets down in the valley, 1 hit each. All shots must be fired from the standing, unsupported position. No prone, no on your knees. Once you are done with that, you will unload, show clear, muzzle up, run up the stairs, back up here to the boat prop. You will safely sit in the boat prop with hands and feet in the boat, load your rifle, and again engage rifle targets 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with 2 hits each, not in sweeps. So in sweeps, no double taps allowed.
In sweeps, no double taps.
Sweeps defined. Engage all targets with 1 hit each before returning to get the second hit on each target. Scoring, anything less than 15 total hits will be scored as a miss penalty per instance. Failure to keep hands and feet in the boat is a 10 seconds COGS penalty per instance. You have a 150-second par time instead of our normal 180.
Next time you come to Tucson, good time, at the end. Let's at least pull the trigger grip. Let's see what we got. Okay. Let's do the tilt test. Let's make sure the onslaught is not there, all that other stuff. Okay. We're not doing that now. You've never had anybody look that way.
That was a hit. Hit.
got one
Keep
more
going.
speed.
2 on each. Start at the beginning.
That it?
No,
No,
it's
2 on each. You got 2 on that one.
time. You have to be sitting down.
Have to be sitting.
Ian, sitting.
All hands. All right, fine.
So safely sitting.
That looks like sitting to me.
Yep, that is.
Well, that sucked.
Well,
That was a stage too hard for me.
it's 2-stage hard for, I think, potentially almost anyone here.
Just about. As of the time of this filming,
Yeah.
we've watched one guy get 8 out of 10.
And I got 6.
You got 6. I suspect there will be a handful of people who claim it. There are some really good shooters here.
Maybe.
Guys like Fagan.
Probably.
Fagan's
I think there's a chance. But the thing is, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with designing a stage that's very difficult, but I think there is something to be said about designing a stage that is capable for at least a reasonable percentile of the audience to be able to succeed.
Yeah.
So what happened here, I think that actually the idea wasn't bad. I think the execution could have just been improved.
The idea was really cool.
It is.
I think the easiest, the solution to this stage, and it would have remained a really freaking hard stage, would be you don't need the RO moving the boat, and you only need 1 hit on each target.
What I would have done with this if I were to change is that I would have required from the offhand position you started at 2 hits on each. Then I would have run up to the boat, have you sit in the boat. I would have done something different with the seating so that your feet weren't out like that.
That's a little concerning for a few people who have long legs and short rifles.
Angled down fire, foot a little too close for my comfort. I don't think it's a problem, but I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But then at the boat, I would have not have had the kicking, and I just would have had 1 hit on each.
Yeah.
And I think that stage would have been far more viable for a lot of people. But with that said,
That was a really interesting challenge that we did the swinging platform once.
Yes.
But that was that right? I think that was rifle, but it was like prone.
It was
or
prone.
sitting. It was not nearly as challenging as that thing was.
so what I want to do is I want to give props for the creativity here.
Absolutely.
And the effort in building that prop, and I think that prop can be leveraged again for future really cool stuff. It was actually legitimately, you might have found it frustrating because of how it worked out for you. I actually found it fun. What I did do was unload twice because by the time I got through all 5 once, I was honestly, in my mind, I'd forgotten they wanted 2 from the boat. And the fact that I got all 5 once, I was incredulous that the stage design required 2 from the boat, because the fact that I got 5 was like, oh my gosh, I did that. I didn't think I would. In regards to the VZ58 config, the ACOG was not the answer. Actually, this is where the stack RMR was the right answer, because when you're moving, when you're shooting on the move, whether you're moving the gun and you are moving on the move dynamically, or you're in something that's moving, or frequently if the thing you're shooting at's moving, less magnification is frequently better.
Absolutely. I actually had this on 4 power on the bottom.
Yes.
And back to 1 power on the top. Not that it did a lot of good. I would say, in regard to this thing, while that allowed you to get 6, if you'd had your what would Stoner do carbine with a regular red dot sight, I think you would have cleaned it. I think that worked against you.
I think there's a chance. No, don't forget, I'm using a VZ58 here with 762x39, Wolf's finest, and a stacked optic. Now that said, I'm going to say this. I had to run the bolt once. This gun's been a little weird. I don't know what's going on there, but I only had to run the bolt once. Everything was fine. But in terms of getting to where I got to with this, I think this was reasonably good performance out of this gun at this point.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I think that gun performs well only because you're
Okay.
And I would have failed even harder with that than I did with this.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know about that.
So, from my perspective on this, first off, that shooting at the bottom was not trivial. I am not used to shooting this thing offhand.
Yes.
This is a heavy gun, and it took me a while to get those hits. And you were not allowed, specifically disallowed from using any support. So, otherwise I would have been resting on the wooden handrail right there.
Of course, yes.
Then when I got to the boat, I figured I have this bipod. Like, I have to have this because I'm in heavy division with the 308. If I have a bipod, it has to be on the bipod every stage, on the rifle every stage.
At the start, at least.
And I figured, you know what? I'm flexible enough. I can shoot this from my knees, and I can keep hands and feet inside the boat.
Yep.
And maybe if I can at least have one bit of movement, so me and the boat moving together, as opposed to the boat's moving and my rifle's moving, I figured that might help. And I think it was a little better. The ROs decided that sitting meant I had to be butt on boat.
They decided sitting meant sitting.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know that the bipod was been that big of a thing.
I don't.
What I ended up doing was attempting to move the upper half of my body in opposition to the boat so that I can keep the rifle on target, and that worked 0%, maybe 5%. I'd say it worked 5%.
You were trying to be counter-reciprocating mass.
So for those of you guys who I don't know how much of this really comes out in the video, because we haven't watched the video yet, but to doing this stage, your sights are doing this. I mean, the range of play from this on the boat to your targets 150 meters away.
Oh, they were out there. Some of them were out there.
Maybe 150 to 2
And they're
total.
mini IPSCs.
They're not big,
Yeah.
but the range of your motion was a solid 15 feet.
Oh, easily.
From below the target to way up over the target.
My dot was going like this,
So
literally.
I told you before this stage that I thought you were going to do quite well at it, because for you, in fact for everybody, this is the same skill set that's required on the spinner, except instead of the target moving, it's the shooter moving. And the requisite skill that you need to have to do this is to be able to watch your target, watch your sight sweep across the target and pull the trigger at the right moment to get a hit on target. People like me, who are used to trying to bring the sight onto target and hold it there and then pull the trigger and get a crisp release, you can't, because you do not have time before your sights are continuously moving across the target. So for someone who has excelled at spinners, who has practiced spinners, just like with the spinner, you're waiting for the target to come into the right position. This is the same concept. It's harder, but it's the same concept where you're waiting for your sights to come into position on an immobile target.
You know what it also is slightly? Trap and ski.
Yeah, that would absolutely
This
be
is
a
snatching
beneficial
and
thing.
grabbing a target out of movement.
Right.
So you're either tracking or trapping, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what's going on here. I don't think you could track here. So what this was trapping. When the
I
sight
don't even know what those
tracking is when you
differentially
so
mean.
tracking is when the target's moving and you move with it and you give a lead. Trapping is the target's moving and you shoot where it's going to be when it's going to be there. So
Yeah,
what
you
I'm
have to do that.
What I'm doing is trapping the dot when I think it's going to be moving through.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
not tracking, it's trapping. And really, people talk about trigger control. Not here. This is, oh, it looks about right. Yoink. Like literally yoink. That's all it is. Because setting the trigger and all that, no.
If you have 2-stage, you can take off the first stage.
And accidentally discharge when you don't want to, as the boat does like this.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
that's not good. At least for me, that wouldn't have any worse results been doing my darndest to get a nice release.
Although the VZ58 trigger is pretty much yoink anyway. It's just a yoinky type of
This
trigger.
one's not bad, but that doesn't matter.
Interesting stage, interesting lessons to be learned from it. And I think it's clever. I think that the conversations actually has more merit than the actual shooting.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would love to try more like this in the future, but scaled down to a point where I could at least get, at a certain point you have to be able to get a little bit of success in order to be able to build skill. If you're shooting a challenge that is so difficult that you can't even begin to start to accomplish it, I don't know that you learn very much. And that, I think, is a legit takeaway for not just specifically for this, but for all competition in general. We get people who show up to our two-gun match, and it's the first time they've ever shot competitively. And some people take that and they hit that wall of a learning curve and climb up it. But I think there's nothing to be ashamed of for if you hit a wall like that, do something simpler, start to build skill in a place where you can make some success.
I agree.
And then come back to the harder challenge later.
I guess how I'd summarize that is learning is based on failure, but with successful repetitions in between.
Right.
And eventually more successful repetitions happen and failure happens less.
Yep.
But if it's just fail with no successful repetitions, or success which is accidental, that's not learning.
Right.
But I think this stage has stuff to learn from it.
Definitely.
Cool.
All right, now hopefully I can not time out on, my goal has gone from doing well in heavy to hopefully I don't time out on at least one stage.
Here's the thing, 4 more to go, anything can change, we don't know what kind of punishment's coming.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for 4 more stages from IDARM 2018.
Yep.